All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. You know how we do it here. We take one interesting piece and just totally go deep on it. Today's no different.
That's right. And today we're really going deep geographically and linguistically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We found this really interesting article, and it's in Hindi.
So we're going international.
Yeah. And, a lot of the stuff we cover here is, English language sources. So this will be a really cool perspective on a story that I'm sure you've heard of.
Oh, yeah. Definitely front page news.
It's the potential ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine.
Right. And, at first glance, it seems like kind of a simple headline, will they, won't they? But like you said, when you start to dig a little deeper,
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot more going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just to kind of set the stage for people who maybe haven't been following every single development,
Yeah.
we have the U.S. proposing this ceasefire.
Right.
Ukraine is on board,
They've agreed.
but Russia,
Russia's the holdup.
they're not so sure about it.
And for good reason, right? I mean, Putin has expressed some pretty serious concerns about this whole thing.
Yeah, like what's he worried about specifically?
Well, his main argument is that a ceasefire, the way it's currently structured, would actually give Ukraine a military advantage.
Oh, interesting. So he's saying they would use that time to regroup.
Exactly, get reorganized,
Huh.
potentially even receive more weapons from the West.
Yeah.
He sees it as putting Russia in a weaker position.
Which, from his perspective makes sense. He's thinking strategically.
Oh, absolutely.
But then you throw Trump into the mix, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying initially, oh, yeah, ceasefire, great idea, love it. But then he comes out and says, oh, no, I was just kidding. It's just a joke.
It's just a joke.
I mean, come on.
That's not really something to joke about.
Not really. And it kind of left everybody scratching their heads like, wait, what is actually going on here?
Right. Is this like some kind of political game?
Yeah.
Or is there something more to it?
And this is where this Hindi language article gets really interesting.
Yeah, they're bringing a really unique perspective to this.
So what are they saying?
Well, they're suggesting that Trump walking back his support for the ceasefire, saying it was a joke, might actually be a calculated move.
Okay. To what end? Like, what's the goal?
Well, they think it could be a way to smooth things over with Putin.
Oh, so it's like he's trying to save face a little bit?
Exactly, by publicly supporting it and then kind of backpedaling. He's signaling to Putin, hey, I'm not really trying to corner you here.
Interesting. And the article is saying this could actually make Russia more likely to agree to the ceasefire.
Potentially. Yeah, they highlight this cultural nuance that often gets missed, in Western media.
Right.
In some cultures, being too confrontational can really backfire.
Makes sense.
So by seeming to soften his stance, Trump might be creating a more, open environment for a negotiation where Putin feels less pressured.
So it's like this strategy.
Exactly, a way to kind of ease the tension and make it easier for everyone to come to the table.
That's really interesting. I never would have thought of it that way, but couldn't this also backfire?
Oh, of course, there's always that risk.
Like make the U.S. look weak on the world stage?
Yeah, and potentially embolden Russia even further.
It's a tough situation.
It really is a delicate balance.
So where do we go from here?
Well, all eyes are on the upcoming Trump-Putin talks. They're supposed to meet later this week.
And what's the agenda there?
Officially, it's to try and get Putin on board with the ceasefire,
Right.
but there's obviously a lot more at stake.
Absolutely.
And there's this other really interesting tidbit in the article.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
They quote a senior Trump representative who claims that Putin actually agrees with Trump's overall philosophy on how to end the war.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but what does that even mean? Like, what philosophy are we talking about?
Well, the article doesn't explicitly spell it out, but reading between the lines and, considering Trump's past statements,
Yeah.
it seems like this shared philosophy centers around a few key ideas.
Okay, like what?
First, a negotiated settlement
Okay.
that takes Russia's security concerns into account, maybe involving some territorial concessions from Ukraine.
Interesting.
Second, a focus on economic incentives rather than just military pressure.
Okay.
And third, a gradual easing of tensions, a return to a more normal relationship between Russia and the West.
So it's more of a pragmatic approach.
Exactly, real politics.
Real politics.
Focusing on practical solutions rather than ideology.
And the article is saying that this is what gives us the best hope for peace.
That's their argument. Yeah, that this shared pragmatism between Trump and Putin could be the key.
So much to unpack here.
It's a complex situation.
Really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, a peaceful resolution would be huge.
Absolutely. There's a lot at stake.
So what do you think? I mean, considering everything we've talked about, what kind of compromises do you think would actually be needed to make peace happen?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's important to remember that Ukraine has their own interests, too.
Yeah,
Any lasting solution has to address their security concerns as well.
absolutely.
It's a complicated puzzle, but, understanding the different perspectives like we've tried to do today, that's the first step.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe there's more common ground than we realize.
Well, that's a hopeful thought.
It's a situation to watch closely, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
No,
Thanks
good.
for taking this deep dive with me.
Glad to be here.